Center here. I'm going to give you my opinion on this local news story that we had that was blowing up all the local news media here in mid-Missouri. Um, this church called the Crossing Church out of Columbia, Missouri, did a sermon on Genesis. They're actually doing a series on the book of Genesis right now. This is the middle of October 2019. Um, and there was a group of, we'll call them the Alphabet Squad because it seems like they just keep adding another alphabet to it. Um, Apparently, they didn't like what was said in the sermon that day, and what is I'll read you some of the comments here that's came up in the news story, and I'll leave links to the church and the news website where I've got this information on, and you can read some of it yourself, and you can also download the message and listen to the message and see where the pastors actually said in the message and where this group's got offended. From the news story, it said the LGBTQ community responded quickly, and many said Simon's words are transphobic and hurtful towards transgender people. He's basically just quoting what the Bible was saying. He wasn't specifically singling anybody out, saying, "Oh, you guys are the bad ones in the group" or nothing. He was basically reading out of the Bible, saying, "This is what the Bible says about man and woman. There's two genders." And that's what he was doing. And he didn't say it with any hate towards the group. He didn't call anybody out saying that they are bad in any way. And just like he says it over and over and time again, he's doing it with love, with telling the truth. And that's what Christians, I think, what we all should do is just love them with the truth and not bring anybody down with it. But they are required to be told the truth. God tells us to tell them the truth, even if they don't like it. Sometimes the truth does hurt, and that's kind of what this whole message that he's did on this Sunday is about. I mean, I'm sure they are getting their feelings hurt, and they got a petition together. Let me read another passage from the news story. So, a group called Concerned Citizens then started a petition on change.org Thursday to have the True False Film Festival, and Ragtag Cinema cut ties with the Crossing, which currently sponsors both organizations. The True False Film Festival is similar to the Sundance Film Festival. I think it's probably more popular or more well known around the country. Um, it's kind of a local deal they do every year. So, and I'm not sure exactly what days it's on each year, but they do it every year and around the here, and it's kind of a big thing. Um, the petition also requested the True False and Ragtag release a public statement condemning the Crossing's intolerance of the Alphabet Squad. That's not what it says, but I'll just paraphrasing. And non-binary people, and reaffirming their own support and dedication for inclusion and protections of all people. The church wasn't coming out against a certain group of people. He was quoting from what the Bible says, and they got their feelings hurt. So apparently, when you're in sin and you know you're in sin, or maybe you don't know you're in sin, and you get called out on it, you get your feelings hurt, and then you go fussing and make a big deal out of it, because apparently that's what they did. And it kind of blew up into the big thing because all the local news organizations around here picked it up and they all wrote stories on it. And the True False Film Festival and the Ragtag Cinema has broken ties with the church after this news story. This is the original news post that I'm reading here. They did break ties with the church for not. They won't let them support them anymore or do anything with them. I think it's kind of silly that you'll let one group dictate on how you're going to run business and you won't let somebody else give you any kind of support. The church wasn't attacking this group of any way. And listen to the message. I'll put the link in the description. Listen to the message and hear what the pastor actually said. It's about 40-minute long sermon. He really gets into it about halfway through the message, I believe. And they've got a question and answer on their webpage. If you've got any questions, possibly some of the answers they put on there, you can get answers to if you've got any questions on what was said in the message, on how the church stands on different things. But even Jesus, when he come to people and was there for people, yes, he was a friend of sinners, but he also told them not to sin anymore. And he did it with love. And I believe that's what this pastor is doing. He's not doing it to be hateful or vengeful or anything. He's doing it out of love to try to let people know the truth so you don't burn in hell for eternity. So it's a really bad deal that a church can be criticized in this way just by reading from the Bible and pointing out things to people. And we're coming to this day and age that a group gets their feelings hurt and they're going to go protest and go against this church and start making a big fuss about it now. And if it starts with just this little thing, if they keep succeeding in doing these things, it's going to grow to bigger and bigger things, and it's going to come to the point, are they not even going to allow churches to be around anymore because they're going to get their feelings hurt because of what the churches preach? Or the churches are going to be dictated by what they can and cannot say in the church by the groups because they don't want them to say anything that's going to hurt their feelings? Really gets into the freedom of speech and freedom of religion real quick on some of this, because these groups are going in and saying what you can and cannot say because they're getting their feelings hurt over it. If they don't like what's being said in the church, ignore the church and stay away from the church. We're going by what the Bible teaches us, and that's how we're teaching. And if you don't like it, then don't go to the church and don't have anything to do with that church. But don't try to dictate it and tell the churches what they can and cannot say inside their church. It's going to be getting worse and worse if they're keeping allowed to have this happen. And as Christians, we need to stand up against this and fight back against it, because if we just lay down and let it continue to happen, slowly and slowly, these freedoms are going to be taken away. And it's just a matter of time before that happens. So it needs, more and more churches need to stand together and come against these groups like this and not let them dictate on what we do and what we cannot do in these churches. That's kind of my 5 cents or 2 cents or whatever you want to call it on this. So remember to strive to be the person your dog already thinks you are. Till next time.